You're only accessing about 1% of what sound healing has to offer. The impact that your voice has on your body far exceeds what an MP3 track can do. There's this fundamental difference between consuming sound and actually creating sound. You're probably familiar with the meditations or the videos that are out there that say like binaural beats for deep sleep, or 4-3-2 for focus music, or theta wave study tracks. There's all these different frequencies designed for different ailments. It's like you've got a frequency prescription for anything that you could imagine, whether it's anxiety, fear, finding your soulmate, connecting with interdimensional beings. I mean, you name it, it's out there, yeah? But I'm not here to knock those. I think that they're really powerful on many respects. There's lots of good stuff out there, and there's heaps of it out there. So just explore it and see what you got. But if you're relying just on an MP3 in your headphones to balance your nervous system, you're only accessing about, I don't know, let's be generous and say 1% of what sound healing has to offer. The other 99% you're just leaving on the table, because the digital file is a flat file that just hits your eardrums. You lose a lot of the layers and the harmonics in that. It's just flat. But your voice is a three-dimensional live pressure wave that actually travels through your skull, through your bones, through your cerebral spinal fluid, that is literally where your brain floats in. So it's stimulating your nervous system, as well as the branches of the vagus nerve wrapped around the throat and the voice, and it can go on. And there's all these like endorphins that are released. It's incredible. The impact that your voice has on your body far exceeds what an MP3 track can do, whether it's binaural beats or a certain frequency or some magical potion that's wanting to release out of the headphones. Like, it doesn't matter. So the thing is that I want to show you exactly why there's a difference and how to access that power that your voice has to impact your body, mind, and your spirit. You ready? Let's go. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you would see that the one thing that I speak to is this idea that there's this fundamental difference between consuming sound and actually creating sound. When a lot of what westernized sound healing looks like is this passive receiving of sound. So we're passively experiencing the crystal bowls or the gongs or the mantras. We're just laying back, kicking back, and hoping for the best. Whereas if we actively create sound with our voice, we're taking command of the inner healing wisdom within us. The nervous system and your body and everything in it responds to the embodied experience in a far greater way than it could ever do with the receiving of sounds. Now, I've been exploring sound healing from every way imaginable for more than 20 years. And I've used instruments. You see, I've got instruments here. I've used recordings. I've used apps. I've used loops. I've used binaural beats. Whatever I could get my hands on, I was exploring in some way. But the moment that I really started to lean into the voice and the power of the voice, understanding Tom Kenyon's work, understanding Hazrat Inayat Khan's work, understanding mantra, chanting, psychoacoustics behind it, and everything, that there's so much wisdom there now. That's when things started to shift. When I got out of that space of, oh, I need to go to the sound healing, or I am at the mercy of somebody to heal me, and started to take the healing power back for myself, that's when things started to change. The healing went deeper. The nervous system regulation was lasting. I was creating practices that allowed me to find more balance, more emotional regulation, more inner peace, more harmony in my life. It was like, it's beautiful. And then not only that, I was able to go into these altered states. Those of you that have experienced my work, that's one of the key things, is how do you work with sound in a metaphysical way to transcend the five senses, to then bring back the wisdom and then anchor it into the body and start to recondition your nervous system so you can perceive your reality through the five senses at a greater capacity. And that's a whole nother video in itself. But at the basis of it is the voice. And that's the most powerful healing instrument that you're ever going to find. And it's yours. It's unique to you. Your voice is unique to you. And it's designed for you. You just haven't been using it, and you don't actually know the power that's in there. So I want to help you understand that. Before we go into that, let's just talk briefly about binaural beats, the different frequencies, like the solfeggio frequencies I talk about in another video. Today I want to drop into the binaural beats because it's a big thing, and they're actually very beneficial, but there are limitations to it. So The science is simple, is that you basically, I'm going to simplify the heck out of this. You've got your headphones on and you're just sending two different frequencies. So one, let's say, is 200 hertz into this ear, and then you send another frequency of, say, 210 hertz into this ear. So similar tones, but just a little bit off. And what happens is the way your brain processes that is it starts to generate a third frequency. You've probably heard it before. My crystal bowls that I use are a little bit out of tune just for that purpose, in that I've got an F or a F and a C bowl or an F and an A bowl, and so a third or a fifth, but they're not perfect pitch. And that creates for the harmonics to be a bit off, so you get this wobble. I call it sound bending, because then I layer my voice in between it, so there's a wobble that goes, and it kind of sounds like a wobble. Those two waves are coming together and they impact each other, and so they create a third sound. If you are hearing a sound within your mind, in your brain, then you go into what's called brainwave entrainment. You put two different frequencies in the ear, and that frequency gap is creating a third frequency at 6 hertz. Then it drops you into theta, and your brainwave state goes into brainwave entrainment, which allows the brain then to resonate that frequency and go into like a relaxed meditative state. So that's the goal. But here's where it falls short, is that in order for that to work, you've got to have headphones on. You're only utilizing the ears. If you had speakers on in a room and somebody says, oh, we're listening to binaural beats, it doesn't work, because both ears are picking up both the frequencies, so you don't get that wobble. It's a different experience. Then second, you got digital compression. So all these music tracks that are being, spewed through your computer, your phones or whatever, they're compressed, and so you lose the harmonics and the depth and the richness of the track, which is where most of the therapeutic benefits are, in those layers. So the last thing is that a digital track is static. Okay, so it's the same sound regardless of what you're feeling. Whereas your voice, it will shift. It's responsive, it's organic, it's tuning to your nervous system, and your nervous system that is interacting with your voice and allowing your voice to move and clear what it needs and what the system needs based on where it is. And that can change organically, intuitively over time. No algorithm can do that. No musical track can do that. And it's exclusive to the sound of your own voice. Nobody else can do that for you. So let's drop into then the mechanics of how the voice actually impacts your body, as opposed to passively listening to binaural beats or whatever the sound is. It doesn't even have to be binaural beats. What actually happens when you tone inside your own voice. Let's start just with the basics, right? Vocal cords vibrating, what you're listening to with my voice. I mean, obviously we've got the third component of the digital aspect coming through, but just hear me in the room hitting this mic is my vocal cords vibrate. The vibrations then push up against the molecules in the air. Those molecules in the air then vibrate and pass that vibration along until it gets to my eardrum, which is designed to amplify those vibrations because there's fluid in the ears and so forth and so on, and it conducts this frequency that my brain then picks up. But that's only just the tip of the iceberg, because there's bone conduction that's happening. So my skull is moving as I use my voice, and there's the skull, the clavicle, the ribs, the chest, my entire skeletal system is moving, as well as the cerebral spinal fluid is feeling those vibrations, because mostly consisting of water, which is 4 times greater conductor of sound than air is. We're getting a lot of vibration through the body itself. And that directly then impacts the nervous system, because the entire nervous system floats in the cerebral spinal fluid. On top of that, we've got the vibrations in the throat, and 2 of the main branches off of the vagus nerve, the wandering nerve, which I'll talk about in another video, and that is being stimulated as well, which is the direct superhighway to the parasympathetic nervous system. So basically, just from the tone of your own voice, you're going from a place of beta, brainwave state, where you're on high alert, you're analyzing the hell out of everything, to a place where you start to relax and go into alpha, where you feel safe. It's safe to let go. You feel held. You don't got to think about it. And if you had to think about it, you wouldn't get there, because the mind's much slower than the nervous system. So neuroception happens far faster than your perception, which is the mind. So if you're trying to think your way there, you're never going to get there. And not to mention that all this stuff is going on, and then you get this cocktail of endorphins that are released. You got oxytocin, the love hormone. Yeehaw. So we're having a big orgy here, right? Then we got serotonin, which is, did you know that serotonin is almost an exact molecular replica of psilocybin, magic mushrooms? Like, how cool is that? But it's your own personal dose, right? So dopamine then is the reward hormone. You've got also anandamide that's being released. So anandamide you find in chocolate, of all places, but you got to eat like freaking, like 10 kilos of chocolate to get enough anandamide to impact your emotional state or something like that. Like, go for it. But with the sound of your voice, you're releasing anandamide as well, which is the bliss hormone. And it's amazing, right? So you've got all the chocolate you need just from the sound of your own voice. And then in the deeper work that I do, sometimes people are going and releasing DMT. It's a natural chemical in the body. So we get into these altered states and things that are happening. So it's fascinating. It's just phenomenal. I used to say back in the day of COVID, when we were just doing this kind of stuff, getting online and not being able to be around each other, I used to tell the groups that I was leading that, okay, let's tone together, because the tone is like a COVID hug, because you don't have to touch. My voice vibrating onto your body then has the same kind of reaction or response that it would as if I touched your body or hugged your body. That release of endorphins is the same whether you're being hugged, embraced, or somebody's talking to you or toning with you. Isn't that cool, right? So a COVID safe hug, or a germ-free hug, let's call it these days, right? You don't need a pill, you don't need a device, you don't need an MP3 track or the right sound healer to guide you there. You have it all inside of you. You've got the best pharmacy on the planet right here, and the best self-regulation tools right here. It's all there. You just got to learn how to use it, right? So before we do a little practice where I can teach you how to embody it, there's one more thing that I want to touch on, and I think this piece is something that really doesn't get a lot of exposure. Like, people don't really think about it much, and that's the fact that this digital track, it can't adapt to your emotional state. You're like, so what? I listen to a track and it elicits an emotion to me. Like, that's powerful. Yeah, it is. But there's also power in the voice, and how the voice actually becomes like this release valve for your emotions. I've worked with people with anxiety, with depression, there's these different ailments, and a lot of them stem from a holding within ourselves. And that when we start to move the voice, those emotions that we've been holding, grief's a good one too. For whatever reason, we've been afraid to process, to release, or we don't have the space to do it. As soon as you start to work at the voice, it breaks it free. It opens it up and creates this opportunity for you to expand, right? And I've been in many practices myself where I'll start out and my tones will be really high pitched, maybe less length in it, less elongated. It's more of a short tone and then a higher pitch. And then over time, like, my body starts to relax, my nervous system becomes soothed. Remember I said it sends that signal that says you're safe, it's okay, I've got you kind of message. And then I drop down and the tones follow. So what I'm toning with my voice, I didn't purposely say I'm going to make a lower sound, it's just the voice dropped because my nervous system dropped. And it was what I needed at the time. So it's like this direct communication with my nervous system, my emotional state, the things that need to be released for me to open into more inner peace and harmony, start to reveal themselves through the sound of my voice as it starts to process and be felt and heard, for that matter. It's a really interesting thing if you start to listen to the way people talk, because you can start to hear the state that they're in and what they're holding under the surface they might not be talking about. It's all within the tone of our voice, and it's fascinating. I remember there was a blind man who came to one of my events. Beautiful man. He was really into sound healing, interestingly enough. And I got to know him a little bit, and he says, the sounds you are making, there's these harmonics and like 3 levels of overtones that are coming through the sounds you're making. He says, I never heard that before. And I can feel it going on, but most people didn't recognize it. But because he has such a sensitivity with sound, because he was blind, he could hear it. And it's just fascinating. And that was what he did. He would talk to people and then do like a whole psychoanalysis on them based on their voice and help them learn how to shift their voice, which actually shifted their demeanor and their state of being. It's fascinating work what he was doing. Anyway, I digress. So the basis of it is that there's no digital track or app or frequency or binaural beat that's going to meet the healing power of your own voice. It's organic, it's designed for you, it is exclusive to you. That's your ticket to wellness. It's your voice, right? So let's play with it. Let's explore it. Let's see if we can't experience something. This is a pretty cool process. I dig this one because it really starts to bring home what I've been talking about and how there's so much more going on than what you hear with your ears, okay? So the way that it works, it's very simple. Put your hands over your ears and just cover your ears up. You know, you really want to stop the sound from coming in, right? And just listen to the room. Just notice what you can hear. And listen to my voice now. If you've got earphones in, you can't really do it. Take the earphones out and just listen to the room or wherever you're at, right? Okay. And now, with your ears still covered, just bring in a bit of a hum. So just deep breath in with me. And again. Okay, let your hands go. Come out of that. I can't do any more of that. I'm going to be like freaking off my head. I don't know if you felt that. Do you feel your brain was buzzing? You feel the vibrations through your jaw, through your skull, through your chest, through just the resonance? Like that wasn't coming from the air. Like you had that covered. That it was coming from there. It had to go through your hands first. What you were hearing was bone conduction, and that vibration is coming from inside of you, and it's radiating through your skeletal system, and then your nervous system is picking that up and interpreting it. So that's what you're hearing. So you can compare the difference from what you were hearing before, just covering your ears, like not making a sound, and then as you made a sound, there was a huge difference, wasn't there? I mean, that's one of the most relaxing things ever, I think, is just to take that external noise out so I don't hear the sounds coming from the air, and I just really drop into the internal vibrations and just really start to be at peace with that. It feels like smoking a bowl or something, right? It's really chills you out. You don't need a subscription to some app. You don't need a prescription to some chemical. You don't need to go get drugs down the street there. Like, no headphones required, nothing. It's all just at your fingertips. It's literally right underneath your nose. It's right there. Your breath, and then the voice is the breath moving through the vocal cords. That is your healing. That is the key. That is the answer to smiles and well-being. So I would encourage you. I mean, it's just a suggestion, right? Stop being a passive consumer of your own healing. Not because the digital tools are bad, not because sound healers don't deserve to sell tickets to their events, but because you have something far more powerful, far more personal and available to you than anything that you could buy or experience outside. So deepen the relationship, see where it takes you. And that's what this whole movement, like the Sound Awakening movement, is all about. It's about helping you discover the potential that you have within, and that we're so much more than what we outsource ourselves to on a daily basis. And that as we practice, as we deepen our relationship to sound, and we start to feel within our body the power that has, and we become the healer that we've been seeking, then things change. Then life changes, and then we are empowered, and we can have more fun. Okay, well, if you're having more fun, check this out. If you're having more fun, then you're gonna be kinder to yourself and then to other people. And I reckon the world would be a better place if we're all just going around going, what do you think? I don't know, but I've seen this so many times. I've witnessed so many amazing things happen when people start to work with their breath and their voice in an intentional way. Clients' anxiety shifts overnight, their habits shift, their bodies heal, their weight releases. They talk to loved ones that have crossed over that they haven't felt has been resolved, and they resolve it in a session in a few days. They release the grief, the pain, the relationships are mended. I could go on forever. It's just phenomenal. It's just really, if you could see what I have witnessed over the last 20 years working with tens of thousands of people, you wouldn't hesitate. You'd be like, I got to prioritize this. I'm going to make this my everyday practice, and I'm going to do this because I know how much it's going to change my life. But take my word for it. Play, have fun, explore, and subscribe here if you like what I'm talking about. Get into it. I've got lots of processes that are evolving and growing, opportunities to take this even deeper than this short video. Come spend a week with me on a retreat, and we really dive into this work and really learn how to self-regulate. One-day workshops, online programs. It's all there. We've got all these beautiful pieces of technology to share this wisdom now. So my purpose is to share this as far as I can in the limited time that I have here. So enjoy. We'll see you soon. Much love.